Hello, Circadia University. Michael Pugliese here, and I am back with Katelyn and Davi, and we are here to continue the modality series for Circadia University. And today's topic is all things microneedling, microchanneling, and collagen induction therapy. And of course, I have our two amazing guests here with us today to rely on their expertise and their experience. So ladies, let's get right into it. Let's talk a little bit first about the difference between microneedling, microchanneling, and collagen induction therapy. We know that these terms, these phrases have a tendency to get kind of interchanged a lot in the industry. We hear them in educational classes, at trade shows, at events. What is the difference, Davi, between all of these terms? Microchanneling, microneedling, and induction therapy. How can we differentiate between the three?
Yes, so both microchanneling and microneedling are going to provide a form of collagen induction to the skin because we are increasing that cell turnover. However, the differences between microchanneling and microneedling is going to be based upon the needle depth and how much we're actually stamping into the skin. So microchanneling is usually going to be around a 0.25 millimeter depth for the skin. Anything past that is going to go into the zone of microneedling, which is usually going to be about a 0.5 millimeter and above.
Got it. So we're really talking about depth of needle, and we're going to be talking about some different manufacturers. We're going to be working with some different devices here for the demonstration part of today. Is there a reason why we would want to utilize a specific depth of needle one versus the other?
Yes, so you would be triggering more of the injury response within the skin, which would be providing you with more cell turnover, more collagen production as a whole, and then also we are using product penetration as a mechanism as well.
So sorry.
The deeper the needle depth, the more of that collagen induction?
Yep, you're creating those micro channels, and that's where we're going to be delivering the serums, and then that's where we're going to be creating more of a response within the skin too.
So a larger needle means a little bit more of a controlled wound, a little bit more of a trigger of a wound, but also a little bit more deeper penetration of whatever is going to be part of the serum.
Yes,
induction.
like one of our Circadia serums, of course.
From manufacturer to manufacturer, the different devices, we know that there's going to be different restrictions, recommendations on how to use the different devices, and we're going to get into that into the protocols. Is there a major difference as far as performance from one device to the next?
There is. So one of it is going to be like the motors that each device uses, because that's going to be the rates per minute of how much it's stamping and how many microchannels it's able to create for the product penetration, and of course how much collagen that we're triggering it for it to be able to produce within the skin. The other thing is of course going to be the tips that it uses with it, making sure that it's a good quality.
Got it.
Davi, there's all sorts of these home microneedling treatments, and specifically the rollers. How are those different, and why would we caution against using those?
So with the rollers, unfortunately, we can cause some like dragging and tearing of the skin. We don't want to scratch the surface of the skin there. So it's just best to go to a professional and make sure that you're getting a good quality treatment that can also generate more of a response.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really see much of the rollers in professional use anymore. It really is that kind of consistent motion, the up and down motion that we see from the legitimate manufacturers that you're going to be seeing in the treatment room provided by services from estheticians.
Absolutely, because again, it goes back to the motor of the device and making sure that you're creating enough channels. You wouldn't be able to, generate the same response manually on your skin.
And when it's rolling, it's not going directly in and out of the skin. It's actually going in at an angle, so
Absolutely.
that can create
So
some
those
damage.
micro tears, 100%.
So caution to everyone, tell your clients don't use any of the rollers at home.
Yes.
So I know we're going to be getting into some very specific and also fantastic protocols for aging specifically, treating pigmentation and some other skin conditions as well. Let's talk a little bit about what's going to be best to use as far as product recommendations for these services, and maybe some of the restrictions and things that we should be avoiding and not be using. So first, what really is the best type of product to look for and to be able to use for these type of treatments?
Yes, so for your delivery serums, you're going to be wanting to use hyaluronic acid serums. So they need to have that hyaluronic acid base. You can use it along with a stem cell serum. A lot of people do like doing that to just re-educate the skin cells, or exosomes, so you can pair the two if you want.
Are there any restrictions on, say, for example, ingredient profiles, pH, again, things that we really want to make sure that we're avoiding. Because again, obviously we're enhancing the penetration by creating these open channels in the skin.
Yes, so you wouldn't want to use a product that's too active or acidic in nature. There are ways, if we get into more advanced education, where you can perform a chemical peel afterwards, but for general and microneedling protocol, you would definitely want to just remain on more of your, I guess, serums with botanicals, vitamins, and other things in there.
Well, and that's great insight, and I know we're probably going to get into a little bit more in-depth conversation on that here on Circadia University, on the specifics of what to be able to utilize and, of course, what to avoid as well.
I think this is an opportune time to talk a little bit maybe about our vitamin C, because notoriously vitamin C in general in the form of L-ascorbic acid would be contraindicated if you're going in a deeper needle depth. But because our vitamin C is a little bit different, do you want to explain how it's different and why it might be appropriate for this treatment?
Sure. One of the reasons, and Davy, you and I have had this conversation before, and we've talked about this in some of our educational courses, that one of the reasons why we see the recommendation to avoid vitamin C specifically is because of the low pH that we find in ascorbic acid-based vitamin C serums. And when you have that low pH penetrating deeper into the skin at a 0.5 or sometimes even deeper, the skin can then recognize that low pH as an irritant, more specifically as an antigen or a foreign body that is then recognized by the skin as something that's not supposed to be there. And then the immune response is going to come and try to wall that off or basically get rid of what's there, and you can have a formation of granulomas and other things like that, which we want to avoid. When we're utilizing the Circadia vitamin C, what we have is magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, which is almost a neutral pH, just slightly above. So the body has a tendency to recognize that a little bit easier, and you don't have as much of a concern of the skin and the body recognizing that as a foreign body. So it's an ideal ingredient to have penetrating into the skin with these microchannels, and of course it is in that multiple weight hyaluronic acid base, so we're following those recommendations as well.
And how long are the channels open after you've done the microneedling treatment? So if you were to do serums afterwards, or as you mentioned, a peel, is there potential for that peel to go too deep? What's your take on how long those channels are open?
So this is where it's so important to just get a really good education and also follow those manufacturers' guidelines. Generally speaking, the shortest amount of time that it would be open for would be 90 minutes, but we usually want to err on the side of caution and recommend that they just use not too aggressive products for 24 to 48 hours. That's when they can start using makeup, sunscreen, and their other skincare products.
So the post-peel kit, or what we might refer to it now as the post-treatment kit, because it's going to work great for this.
Absolutely. So the post-peel home care kit or post-treatment kit would be definitely suitable for the skin after that time frame.
And as far as the full protocol is concerned, is there an opportunity to do some exfoliation prior to microneedling, or what would you say is the best protocol to be administering?
Yes, so as long as it's a more shallow needle depth, meaning around 0.25 to 0.5, we can definitely do some exfoliation on the skin. Usually that's going to be dermaplaning or your enzymatic exfoliation.
But not a chemical peel prior to?
Not a chemical peel, that's correct.
So I have a question about frequency. So if we're looking at something that is a more shallow depth at that 0.25 level, what is considered to be a safe frequency to receive the treatments?
You would still only want to do it about every month, and then in between you could do your other spa facials. So you could do a switch treatment, you could do dermaplaning if you hadn't received a dermaplaning at the same time as your microchanneling treatment, or you could do chemical peels. You can be very creative with your treatment plans.
And same with the deeper level, you're going to want to do that once every month, or should we be spacing it out a little further?
Spaced out more if they were on, if you had a medical director and if you were in a medi spa, and you would be doing it like every month and a half or so if you were at a 1.5 or a 1 millimeter.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, we're lucky if we get to see our clients once a month. Many of us are really shooting for that once a month, once every 30 days or so. But a lot of us have clients that are coming to see us once a week or once every 2 weeks. So if they want to take advantage of this type of technology and combine it with some Circadia service, let's say they're coming in once every 2 weeks, would you recommend that they do the microchanneling treatment, and then 2 weeks later, would it be appropriate for a peel, an enzyme facial, a masking facial, dermal planing? Where are, again, those restrictions? What parameters should they be looking in when it comes to additional treatments if they're doing it, say, for twice a month, for 2 visits in the same month, let's say?
Of course. So you can think of this as accelerating or boosting your treatment results and a true corrective plan versus being more on the maintenance level. So this is where they would either do the chemical peel like you were just mentioning in between, or if it was more of a mature skin type, this switch would fit perfectly in there too.
So you would suggest doing a microneedle and then switch and then
Go
microneedle?
back to microneedle, correct.
Instead of doing your series of 3?
Yes, because
Okay.
the raspberry enzyme can be performed prior to the ProCell, and there is a mask at the end to hydrate.
That's a great tip. Is there anyone who wouldn't be a good candidate for microneedling at either depth?
Yeah, so if you do have any issues with like your capillaries and that in those places, because you don't want to be like triggering or puncturing there, if there's any sort of inflammatory acne or rosacea, those are some of the contraindications.
If someone has just a couple active papules and pustules, can you go around those and still microneedle in certain areas, or would you just say that?
Yes, you could be strategic with how you're channeling on the skin.
What about hyperpigmentation, pigmentation irregularities? Is the channeling a really good service? Where, again, should we be adding our ingredient technology, and what restrictions should we be adhering to? Again, if we know that this is a controlled level of inflammation that we're trying to trigger, and we know that inflammation is also involved with creating hyperpigmentation, where's that balance?
So it works a little bit differently because these are just little micro injuries to the skin, and the micro perforations are just going to stimulate a response in the skin to say like, hey, we need activity here, we need healing. So it doesn't create that same sort of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation as you would normally see with, if you were to pick at an acne lesion or something of the sort. So whenever we're going to be infusing like your vitamin C reversal serum, which acts as a tyrosinase inhibitor, you'll actually see that it helps to even and clear out the skin.
So at that depth, the inflammation is not only controlled, but it's fairly superficial, so less of a concern of triggering more hyperpigmentation than we would say if we're using a more aggressive peel, especially on a darker Fitzpatrick type. So kind of a little bit more of a safety zone there.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great.
And what would be the anticipated outcome after just one treatment?
After just one treatment, if somebody has texture irregularities, if they have fine lines and wrinkles, you can definitely see that smooth out as soon as a week later. And then based off of the serums that you used with it and cocktailed, you'll of course start to see the results from that, because remember, we're delivering that a lot further within to the skin. And if it's something like stem cells or exosomes, we're starting to reprogram and re-educate the skin cells itself.
And microneedling is just not for the face. It also has great results with stretch marks and also other body scarring.
Yes.
Do you do those treatments in your practice?
I do. So stretch marks, body scarring, it's also good for the hair if you're trying to regrow that too.
Would you think that the professional firming and shaping gel would be a good add-on for home care if you were doing the body treatments?
Definitely. You could retail it to the client afterwards, and then they can use it, in their daily body care.
Excellent. Well, we've got some incredible protocols here that we're excited to share on Circadia University, an incredible demonstration that we're about to perform on our lovely model here. So let's go ahead and get started.